Good afternoon, Dr. Stephen Poon, and hello.
Hi, good evening over here. Yes. Okay. Good afternoon to you. Yes.
Yes, good afternoon and good evening, as we are from the different countries.
Okay.
So, hello,
Yep.
I am Sheenu Seni, a team member of Eurasia Research, and today I will be taking your interview. So, welcome to the
Okay.
for Eurasia Research. How are you?
I'm okay. Yeah. Being well, not too bad.
And that's great. We are really grateful to have you today. And so, we will be starting with the questions. Please allow me a moment to record this chat session.
Sure.
So, to start with the chat session, I would like to introduce to our audience that today we have Dr. Stephen Poon as an eminent speaker for our chat session interview today. So, he is affiliated to MILA University from Malaysia. He presented keynote speech on topic The New Value Equation, Merging the Knowledge Economy and AI for Sustainable Marketplace. Welcome to the chat session for Eurasia Research.
Hi there.
Hi, so starting with the chat session now. My first question, how does digital transformation affect sustainable development?
Are you referring to the education
Sorry,
or just in general, actually?
sorry, regarding the chat session interview questions or
Yeah. Actually, yes. Regarding about your question, are you
yes,
referring to the education, right?
yes,
Okay, great. Because if you look at the questions, how the way you ask me, it sounds really broad. Digital transformation affects sustainable development. So it's too much to talk about this. It can be take up to 2 hours to that for that. But actually, if you refer to education, then I can scope it down. Then it's easy to follow. Since like this is the education conference, so I should be referring to the education perspective.
yeah,
Should I understand that way?
yes,
Okay. Digital transformation acts as a powerful accelerator for sustainable development in university. So it changes how campuses operate, how students learn, and how education becomes accessible to all. So there's a few points I like to make here. The first of all, I need to look at this environmental impact, which is the green campus. Nowadays, many universities, especially those are the big universities, referring to this perspective. So, in terms of environmental impact here, resource reduction, there's a first angle to look at this shifting to cloud system, e-textbooks, and digital enrollment drastically cuts down paper waste and physical storage needs. Second is energy efficiency, which is what we call the smart campus technology IoT. Automatically optimize lighting, heating, and cooling in the lecture halls to lower carbon footprints. So this is referring to the Malaysian context because we're using quite a bit of air conditioning. So the third point in this perspective is reduced commuting, hybrid learning and remote work options, degrees, daily traffic, directly dropping greenhouse gas emission from student and staff commute. So the second perspective here is social impact, which is equity and inclusion. So from this second perspective here, there's a few points I like to make, which is another 3 points. The first point is global accessibility. Online learning platforms break down geographical and financial barriers, allowing students from remote or underprivileged areas to access quality higher education. So the second point in this perspective is inclusive learning. Digital tools offer a personalized learning path, AI-driven transcription, and assistive technologies for students with diverse learning needs for or disabilities. So the third point in this perspective is democratizing knowledge, which is open source research and shared digital libraries allow global collaboration, making knowledge a public good. So the third perspective here is economic impact. This is referring to viability and efficiency. The first point in this perspective is the operational cost saving. Automating administrative tasks reduces overhead costs, allowing university to reinvest funds into student scholarships and research. The second point, future-proof skills, aligning curriculum with digital tools, prepare students for the green and digital economy. In terms of, we call this the twin transition, so ensuring high graduate employability. So the third point in this perspective is data-driven choices. Nowadays, big data analytics help university leadership track resource use, dropout rates, and financial health to make highly sustainable long-term strategic decision. So the last perspective here is critical challenges here, which is we are referring to the counter perspective here. So the first point in this perspective is digital divide. Lack of devices or stable internet can worsen educational inequalities for marginalized students. Second point, e-waste and energy. Increased reliance on servers, data centers, and devices creates a massive electronic waste problem and demands high electricity consumption. So the last point in this perspective is a cybersecurity risk. Moving operation online exposes the institution to data breaches, requiring heavy investment in digital safety and privacy compliance. So in conclude uh, this part of the questions here, digital transformation isn't just about replacing paper with screens, but it is about using technology to build a more inclusive, resilient, and low carbon ecosystem that makes higher education accessible to everyone, everywhere. Thank you.
That was really nice to know. And yes, moving forward with the next question. Can AI replace human knowledge workers completely?
Not really. From my current understanding, also my surrounding in this region, no, of course, AI will not replace human knowledge workers completely. Instead, it will shift roles from task execution to strategic oversight. So I think the point is why AI cannot completely replace humans. So there's a few points I'm looking at. This first, lack of context. AI lacks true intuition, culture nuance, and emotional intelligence. Second, liability issues. AI cannot legally or ethically take responsibility for critical business decision. Third, creativity limits. AI remixes existing human data, but cannot invent entirely new paradigms. The last point is relationship building. Clients still require human trust, empathy, and personal connection.
Yeah.
And also, the second note is how the knowledge worker role will change. So from this perspective, I'm looking at shift to editing. Workers will spend less time drafting and more time editing AI output. Second, prompt engineering. Knowing how to accurately direct AI will become a core skill. Third, focus on strategy. Humans will handle high-level strategy while AI handles repetitive data analysis. So the last point here, accelerated output. One worker powered by AI will do the work of a past three-person team. So the next point is looking the risk here, high and the low, which is the high risk versus the low risk roles. There's 2 points I'm looking at. This high risk, heavy automation, data entry, basic copywriting, routine coding, and entry level compliance auditing. Second, low risk, which is we call the safe from AI. Complex negotiation, crisis management, specialized therapy, and high stakes leadership. To conclude the statement in this particular questions, AI won't replace managers, but managers who use AI will replace those who don't. Second, AI is an absolute calculator. Humans are the navigators who decide where we need to go. Thank you.
Yeah, would you like to share your point of view on agentic AI? I think it's somewhere be able to play a role of an employee or be, I think it's kind of useful. Um,
Say
to
again, say again. What is it?
agentic AI.
You mean the
Like, would you like to share something about agentic AI?
I think the agentic AI here is we are evolving.
Yeah.
So there is there's no definite answer about how the agenda AI to be used, but it really depends on what how do we progress to the agenda AI. So I think GAI, generative artificial intelligence, now is the current state. So we're also moving forward to ASI, artificial super intelligence. Then agenda AI will be come aboard based on the computation of that. So there is no definite answer from my side. I say need to be how to use it, but it depends on how do we evolve. But the things what I share with you here is more rather is a current practice in this situation and also the global context is also in the regional context over here. So I don't want to say anything which is I'm not really sure about the agenda AI coming along. So at one stage, right, more than 40% of the evolution, then you can talk about how, where do we come from and then where do we go? So I think this is the only way I can respond to. I don't want to define agenda AI from my perspective because I'm not an IT genius from this. I'm more some kind of like the end user and also the observer and also as a researcher from this perspective. But I will share with you whatever the current situation is regionally in this perspective. But rather than that, I think I think I shall remain. I rather to talk about this probably another few years, probably another year, probably to next year. I can talk about this because we are evolving very fast.
Yes.
So see, when I have more than enough data and comparative study and more case studies, then I can go into more detail after my analysis.
Thank you for your insightful thoughts. And moving forward with our next question, what is the main takeaway from your study?
Um, Based on the presentation the other day during the conference, and also it has been prepared for quite a few weeks' time, and we all the illustration work comes together and statistic as well. I think in the current context, knowledge is a new currency. Put it this way, and how do we see this? How do we understand knowledge is the new currency? First, the modern economy is no longer driven mainly by physical assets, but by knowledge. So we referring to the knowledge-based society, knowledge society, or another way to call this. Knowledge, creativity, data, and innovation. This is the current context. It's also very much surrounding which is by all this, and we can see that, we can feel that. So second, AI accelerates how knowledge is created, shared, and monetized across industry. The third point here, organizations that continuously learn and adapt will outperform those relying only on traditional business models. So human insight here, critical thinking, and interdisciplinary collaboration remain the true differentiators in an AI-powered economy. So the second point here is AI must create sustainable value, not just faster growth. So in terms of that, AI should not only optimize profits, it should also improve sustainability, inclusion, and long-term resilience. So the future marketplace must balance based on economic growth, environmental responsibility, social impact. So the next point here is sustainable AI includes energy efficient computing, ethical data practices. We talk about this a lot, and also responsible automation. Of course, in the business society, in terms of how to create an impact on the economic growth, businesses will increasingly by evaluated by how responsibly they use AI, not just how advanced their technology is. So in terms of human factors, human plus AI collaboration is the winning formula. How I see the current evolution. AI is most powerful when augmenting human capability rather than replacing people. The future workforce needs digital literacy, critical thinking, creativity, ethical awareness, adaptability. Of course, universities today, startup, governments, and industry must collaborate to build innovation ecosystem that empower people to become creators, not just consumers of technology. So, of course, the real competitive advantage lies in combining human values with the machine intelligence. Thank you.
Oh, very well said. So, moving forward with our next question, what advice would you give to young researchers who are just starting out in the research world and based on your own experiences and insights?
Honestly, I don't have the right to give any advisor to any young researcher because everyone doing things differently. There's
Yes,
one thing for sure.
yes.
And I work the way I see is appealing to me, and also it fits the way how I do. So it doesn't mean that whatever I learn, whatever I do over here in this part of the world, it works for any country from the South Asia. Likewise, the Western European or the North America, it doesn't work that way. Actually, this is very individualistic. But all I can share with you, based on my decades of experiences. So, what I can share with you, especially the time when I had over Europe for many years and returned back since 2004. And so I can conclude what don't I don't say concluding, but it's more rather sharing up till now. First, mindset and resilience. What does it mean, mindset and resilience? First, embrace failure early. Most experiments fail, and rejection is part of the funding and publishing. Put it this way, follow your curiosity. Choose questions that genuinely excite you, not just what is trending. So the third is imposter syndrome is normal. Almost every researcher feels like a fraud at some point. So second, skill development. What does it mean in this perspective? First, master the fundamental strong data literacy, statistic, and coding skill are non-negotiable today. Second, prioritize writing skill. Clear writing sells your ideas to funders, reviewers, and the public. So the third here, read broadly. There's one thing for sure. We talk about knowledge. You don't read, how can you gain knowledge? So read broadly, not deeply. What does it mean? Look outside your specific niche to find creative, cross-disciplinary solution. So the next point is the networking and collaboration. First, find a good mentor. A supportive advisor matters more than the prestige of the university. Second, build a peer network. Your fellow PhD student or master student today are your collaborators tomorrow. Don't work in isolation. Collaboration accelerates discovery and shares the emotional workload. So, of course, the next point is work-life balance. It's very important. Research is a marathon. Burnout skills creativity, so set strict boundaries for rest. Second, treat it like a job. That's what I do. So, but not really works for everybody, unfortunately, but it works for me. Treat it like a job, define your working hours, and maintain hobbies outside the lab. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Moving forward with our last question. your positive feedback about our conference.
Overall impression, the conference successfully brought together educators, researchers, industry practitioners, and also policy makers from diverse backgrounds. It creates valuable platform for interdisciplinary dialogue on emerging trends in education, technology, and learning innovation. The overall atmosphere encouraged knowledge sharing and professional networking. There's one thing for sure. So strength of the conference. First, under my observation, the range of the topics which are presented by the presenter covered was broad and relevant, especially discussion around AI, digital learning, sustainability, and future-ready education. And a couple of keynote sessions provided useful insight into current educational challenges and opportunities, which is that's including my keynote.
Thank you for your
Okay,
feedback.
thank
And
you.
thank you so much for sharing your experience with us. And thank you for attending this chat session. We are honored to have you, and it will be great to see you at our future conferences as well. So,
The pleasure is always mine.
thank you so much. We are done for the chat session. Thank you.
Okay, enjoy the rest of the day.